Good day, my people. You're welcome to another episode of Quicksol Diaries. As we all know, this series is where I talk about and document the process of building Quicksol as a marketing empire. And it's in a way it has to be connected to also me as a personal person. So this is the first episode. I'm sure you guys have been enjoying the other 3 episodes, and I really do hope that today again I'm going to be able to share things that will not only be entertaining in a way, because maybe today is going to be a little bit entertaining, but then also very much valuable, right? And just as I have always done it, it is always extremely spontaneous, totally unscripted. Just a number of things that I have written down again today that I am going to be building out my words from, right? So thank you very much once again if you have been listening to this series so far. And if you have not been listening to this series, you can always, after watching this anyway, you can always watch the previous 3 series as well. And then you can always subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you will always get notified whenever I drop any other series just like this one. So thank you very much once again, guys, for joining me in the Quicksol Diaries. Let's dive in. All right, so today, like I said, I have a number of things written down. I should be getting a weekly theme, but then since it is spontaneous, I do not want to limit the conversation to talking about just a particular theme, especially since the total idea around this series is to, document the things that have happened in the previous week. And in a way, you cannot particularly theme that. So while I am thinking of, okay, let's put a theme to this to maybe give it a little bit more direction, I feel like the spontaneity also makes a lot of sense, since the things that happen every day and every week, they are usually different, and that is the maybe entire goal or aim of this series, right? So let's just dive in, right? So last week was a wonderful week for me as a personal person. As a business as well, it's a wonderful week. I definitely cannot take that out of it, right? But then for me as a person, it's a wonderful week. I feel like it is expected because this is December, and trust me, already, I think today is the 9th of December, and already I have to say that this December is arguably my best so far already. And then with the things that I already have even lined up for the rest of the days, I don't really think any December is going to stand close to this. Maybe next year has to do a lot of work to catch up, right? So this particular week, I feel like I've been extremely grateful. It is more like a reflective and gratitude week for me, especially at the point when I did not go out, because of course I did not go out every day of the week. But then I've just sat down. I was telling a friend of mine just yesterday about how the things that I have experienced this year, and how grateful I am for the experience, the growth that I have gotten this year, the people that I have met, the things that I have been able to do this year. There were steps that I started taking last year that did not take full form, maybe because I was a little bit nonchalant about these things, but then I decided to put more energy into them this year. So it has been a great feeling. It is a great feeling so far, especially talking about this year as a whole. When I look at it and I reflect, I feel like this year is the year that I have enjoyed myself the most. And when I say enjoy myself, it is just around going out the more, exploring places the more, exploring things with people the more, doing the things that I usually will not do, including this series, right? Because you guys might not know, but then I am one of the most introverted person alive, right? But then is it really possible to be in marketing and be that introverted? I feel like that is changing me, and that has been changing me so far. So I have a big gratitude feeling for this year, and I feel like it is a great thing for me because, like I said, things have changed. So many things have been happening, and I've just been able to put myself in spaces and places that I did not really see myself being in, and maybe I did not really put myself there, maybe and that is also why I'm extremely grateful to God as well, because it is not just about the things that I have decided to do, but then the kind of people that I've also been able to meet, and maybe the courage to actually take certain steps, because at the end of the day you have to have conversations like, okay, despite the fact that, because it is possible that there are people that have done almost the same things that I have done, and then they have not gotten the kind of results I have gotten. Of course, there might be people that have done lesser than I have done and have gotten better results. I feel like that is how life is. At the end of the day, everyone is still at the middle. There are people that are better than you, and then there are people that you are better than. And naturally, the human instinct is always looking down to the people that is always looking up, rather, to the people that are better than us, and better than myself, better than yourself. But then at the end of the day, we have to accept that the situation that we are in, even though we think it is unpalatable, there are people that are below us that are really wishing to be in that particular situation, because in a way, no matter how small, it is better than where they are, right? So whenever I have this kind of thoughts, it puts me in a place of gratitude. That's okay, even though there are people and places and things that I am still looking up to, there are places that I was before that I am no more there. And it is extremely clear. In fact, there is no iota of doubt about this. And no matter where you are, no matter the level that you are in, there might be a ton of people ahead of you, but then trust me, there's always a ton of people below you as well. While you are looking up to people, there are people that are looking up to you, no matter how bad the situation is, right? So this is the particular thought process that I have, and it puts me in a place of extreme gratitude, especially when we are able to get into the end of this year. Of course, it is really expected, in my opinion. I think it's extremely expected, right? So this week was a whole lot of fun. I was already thinking about how I am going to be articulating my words for this particular episode, right? So it was extremely full of fun. I had so much fun this week, right? So I think in one of the episodes that I recorded so far, I mentioned the particular club that I am in, that I recently just joined anyways. But then we had our end of the year party last week. Yes, it is already last week. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Meeting over almost 150 persons. Of course, I did not meet all of them, but then that kind of experience of people that are that almost think alike, because that is the aim of the community, the aim of the club. It was not something that just about everyone that applied was even able to join. So you are able to, so it gives you a kind of feeling, the kind of feeling that I also want individuals in the marketing talent community to feel, that there's some sort of exclusivity to this thing, because there are people that are actually looking from outside that want to enjoy or experience, let me not use enjoy, that want to experience the kind of things that we have in that particular community, right? So it works both ways. And then for that particular end of the year party, I enjoyed myself so much. There was a point when I was just sitting down, and then they were looking for, during one of the game session, and then they were just looking to pick 5 people to come and dance, and then I was just seated there, and I was just telling the person seated beside me that, may these people not call me, or may these people not call me, and probably it was because I was even saying, may these people not call me, may these people not call me, that I was called. And I was not called for any other thing but to come and dance around the chair while the music is playing. I've forgotten the name that they call the game, but then dancing around the chair while the music is playing, and then when the music stops, everyone gets to sit down. Oh God, because I am the last thing you are going to see me do. But then I did not dance, so they cannot say they saw me dancing. I was just walking around the chairs. Because I really do not know the dance steps, especially in that particular kind of space, right? I can't speak if I had the opportunity to do that. I don't think when it comes to actually, if I have to actually talk to them, I'm not going to feel any bad at all. I feel like I'm used to it already. If I'm unable to do that, maybe I'm not going to be able to have this conversation with you the way I am having it now, right? So, but then when it comes to actually dancing, I didn't know what to do. Sometimes I think about it that if at the point that I want to get married, how am I going to go about that? How am I going to not have the conversation around it? But then I just think about it, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, probably because I was just walking around the table, and then I was just thinking, let this guy just stop the music and let me get out of here. He stopped the music. I was going to sit down. I tried to sit down, but then the lady that was behind me, she took more part of the seat. So we both sat down, but then she took a larger section of the seat which qualified her for that particular seat, and then I had to stand up. In a way, I felt relieved. I stood up, I went back to my seat, then I was just enjoying the show. So we had different types of games like that. There were snacks, there were drinks, there was food to eat. We took a number of pictures, and I even played this zombie VR game. Later that night, people were already calling me the zombie killer in the group, and I was, feeling myself. Killer of zombies in the group, and I was just feeling myself because the game was actually extremely interesting. So these are some of the things that happened at that particular event, and I enjoyed it so much. I met new people, took a ton of pictures, even though most of those pictures I'm yet to see it, and I do not think I will eventually see them because I do not even know the phones or the people or the owners of those phones that they were taking those pictures with, right? So it was enjoyable. And then, as if that was not enough, the next day again, I went to the beach. It has been so long that I have gone to the beach. So imagine how wonderful it is going to the beach, and not just, in fact, the things that I did at the beach yesterday, I've never done it when I go to the beach, because usually when I go to the beach, I just take pictures and enjoy the breeze. But then yesterday, I actually immersed myself in the water wholly and fully. I enjoyed every bit of it. And it was not just about immersing myself in the water. I actually did horse riding, right? So if you are even able to get to my Instagram handle, okay, it is in the story session, but then I'm going to do it in such a way that maybe I'm going to hide it at the highlight session, right? So you'll be able to see me actually riding the horse and, controlling it myself. Even at the point of turning, I felt so fly. felt so fly. The house was not like being on a 2-story building, but then I felt in a way on top of the world that, okay, I can actually control a horse, and I did. And like, I'm just trying to say that I had so much fun. And trust me, when I'm recording next week's session again, I'm going to tell you that I had so much fun. So you guys should watch out for my gunshots this December. In fact, I was telling someone that people that meet me this December will think this is how I have, this is how I usually live my life, not knowing that I can stay in the house for 2 weeks without even going outside the compound, right? But then, it is what it is. When you have done so much and, you did not particularly put in so much for yourself throughout the year, doing this or what I am doing at the moment or what I have done is not too much at all. Just for the place of reflection, and the proximity was even there. It is pretty close, right? So it was not like I had to do too much to be able to have these experiences. They were there for the taking. I had not been exploring it, and then I decided to begin to definitely explore these things, right? So about the actual things that we did last week, right? So for that particular event, I was totally unable to join the Quicksol meeting on Saturday. And we did not even have it particularly like the kind of meeting that we usually have, because we just wanted to have a random conversation, more like a brainstorm session with the community members for bonding and for us to be able to plan for the year 2025 much better, and also in line with what the community members actually want to see. Because at the end of the day, while we're talking about most of these things, these guys have expectations, and we have to meet their expectations while also meeting our expectations as well, right? So I feel like it is something that is beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. I was unable to join, but then the people that were there, I feel like they were able to share ideas that will definitely help us work better with the community next year. I already had a conversation with the community manager about a number of things, and then we have also been able to vet the initial people that filled the self-directed interview to join the vetted aspect of the community, where a lot of premium stuff happened. Premium not in the place of them actually making payments, but premium in the place of these guys are actually people that are good enough for us to hire to businesses, because from the community, of course, and then others can also get better by experiencing the journey that the community is able to give to them, right? So it's a wonderful feeling, especially for that particular kind of conversation. And then we already have plans in place, especially for this Saturday, because it looks like we are going to be bringing in the first external person to have conversations with the community members. It might be somewhere around CV revamp, because trust me, at the point when we were even vetting these people, there were people that we are unable to accept into the vetted community, or that we have accepted not fully, but with the conversation of their CV needs to get better. In fact, we are trying to work on a standard CV, on a Quicksol standard CV, or on a marketing standard CV, right? That just about anyone in the vetted community, their CV has to go towards that line, so that whenever we are sending out these CVs to companies that actually need these people, they will not be able, their CV is not going to be one of those things, or yes, one of those things that has the potential to ruin their chances of getting selected. There are times when I have seen CVs and, at the first glance of the CV, it just puts me off, right? I just lose trust in fact, if that particular person eventually gets to the face of the interview, it's in my subconscious, I still see them from the side of that particular CV, right? So it is something that I know that people that do a lot of hiring, if you do a lot of hiring, you might have experienced this as well. There are times when you get into an interview with someone, and because of one reason or the other, just because we are humans, you just don't vibe with the person. Sometimes maybe even before the person actually opens their mouth to say anything, right? So that is why I usually tell people that whenever you are going for an interview, you should be in a place where you know that it is going to be impossible for someone to see me and be uncomfortable. So it is much better that you go in a way that, because you do not know the character or the trait or the values of the people or the person that you are going to meet, it is much better that you go with the idea that let me do things and look the way almost no one, whether the person is extremely religious to a fault, or the person is not even religious at all, or the person is extremely cultural to a fault, or the person is not even cultural at all of these people will not be able to I will not be able to even put them off, either by my looks or by the kind of things I say. So it's extremely important, right? Especially in this part of the world. The idea around it is for you to pick the things that maybe the culture accepts, and then just do it for the sake of that interview. It might not be your value, but then just do it for the sake of that interview, because you do not, except you already know that these particular people, they have nothing against these things, right? So if you are sure that they have nothing against any of these things, it is their thought, and you cannot particularly affect it at that point. It is not your place to change, to try to even change them, right? So the idea around it is, even if you are going to change them, it is not going to be on that spot when they want to interview you, right? So things like, I do not want to begin to give examples, but then things when you know that if I look this way in this particular setting, there's a chance that they are going to look at me in a way that is wrong or different from the way I want to be seen. If I do these things in this particular place, the idea around is to just do the things that almost anyone will see you, and they will be able to appreciate your looks, they'll be able to appreciate the things you say. Because like I said, the ideology around this thing is you do not know the kind of person that you are going there to meet at that point, right? So you have to be extremely careful when it comes to having this kind of conversations and living this kind of especially in that kind of space. The CV is one, and then the looks is different. The way you're able to comport yourself and select your words is also extremely important as well, right? So, and then we did a number of trainings, and when it comes to even Google Ads, right? I ran a lot of ads this last week. It has been about, the last time I ran Google Ads was about 2-3 months ago. And I don't know, when it comes to Meta and Google, there's always something that changes. There was a time that it has been a while since I ran Meta ads, and at the point when I was opening the Meta ad manager, I was surprised because of the subtle changes that had happened, that you just have to, I noticed it because I was used to the previous interface. And then when you just leave for 1 or 2 months and then you're coming back, you just meet changes. The same thing happened when I opened Google Ad Manager, and then I was trying to set up an ad earlier last week. And I just noticed those subtle changes, and I enjoyed it because, pay-per-click advertising is actually my own specialty when it comes to marketing. I've been able to integrate a number of things as well, that will definitely help me get better. But then ultimately, pay-per-click advertising is one of my strong suits when it comes to actual marketing, right? So the updates are there, and sometimes, frankly, I usually think these things, maybe they are unnecessary, but then eventually it must be because of the data. I cannot really say they are unnecessary, because with millions of people using the same thing, I believe they want to make the experience better, and make actually setting these things up much easier for us as the advertisers, right? So I cannot really say the updates are not necessary. Maybe at the first glance they can look like they are unnecessary, because that is just what it looks like at the first glance. But then ultimately we cannot particularly say they are not necessary like that. And then having to manage Google ads and Facebook ads simultaneously, something that I have done a lot of times. And there are times when I leave one particular ad because I do not really have to run Google ads or run Facebook ads for some months, and then at those times I just come back and then I just see the subtle changes that they have made. I notice them because I spend a lot of time on these platforms. I've been spending a lot of time on this platform for so many years, right? So I should be able to say that if it is there, then to a large extent it is necessary. And I usually do not get really connected to ads. I mean, I run ads, and then I do a lot of research when it comes to actual ads. In fact, I go looking for ads sometimes, and that's why I use the Facebook ad library whenever I want to run an ad. What I usually do at that point is to go into Facebook ad library, find out the competitors of that particular brand, and see the current ads that they are running. And then if they have been running an ad for about 6 months, I begin to now study the creative that they are using for that ad, the content that they're using for that ad, the kind of people that they're targeting for that ad. Because if they have been running just one ad for 6 months and probably above, there is a chance that they are getting revenue from that. And there's a chance that the target audience actually likes that. So I now begin to mirror some of those things into the ad that I want to run as a means of research. I do not particularly know if there's a platform like that for Google Ad. If you do, please reach out to me so I can begin to use that as well. So what I actually do for Google Ad is, whenever I stumble on a Google Ad that I like, I just spend time on the spot to watch it. I make sure that I spend time on that spot to watch it because I enjoy it. I think it is something that will be valuable to me. Sometimes I actually even do just a brief screen recording for me to be able to go back to that particular video, right? Especially if there are display ads, and then there are not things you can particularly save. But then for Facebook, it is much easier because I can always screenshot it if it's an image, and then go back to watch it to see it from my gallery. If it's a video, I can also screenshot, and then because the advertiser name is already there, and then it now takes me back to ad library to look into that particular ad again and see the other ads that particular business has been running. Yeah, so due to this reason, when I see ads, it does not connect with me or connect to me the way it connects to an average person, because I'm seeing something else. A lot of times it is not direct message that is leading to the call to action or what they are trying to sell that appeals to me, and that is why eventually I don't particularly take the action that they are the same people should take, because I feel like I have this particular mindset whenever I'm setting up an ad. That's the same mindset that particular person has, and then I know that if it is not something that I am interested in, I do not want to go through the process, because a lot of times this ad begin to actually charge when people take action. And then if I know that I'm not interested, sometimes I take action intentionally because I want to study the funnel that particular advertiser has set up. I want to know that from this particular point, where does it take me? From this particular point, where does it take me? These things are for research purposes. I do that because I know that whenever I take one particular action, the advertiser gets charged for it. So naturally, I don't really want to do that, because I do not want that particular advertiser to be wasting their money. The same way I don't want to be wasting my money whenever I am running that particular kind of ad, right? So I feel like I have been able to put together a wonderful episode again today, right? So thank you very much once again, guys, for spending your life and your time to watch this episode again. I really do hope that you're not just going to be watching this, you're going to be sharing it to people that you think it is going to be beneficial to. That is if it has been beneficial to you anyway, which I really do hope it has been beneficial to you. So thank you very much once again, guys. I am going to be seeing you at this same time next week for another episode. So, and for you to be able to get notified about that, please click the subscription button and the notification bell, so that whenever I drop this video next week again, I will not have to come and pull you to watch it, but then YouTube is actually going to notify you. So thank you very much once again, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.